So I posted my last video, which was the show prep video, and I realised I forgot a couple of things, but I also thought I'd show you something else that I couldn't show you in the other video because Charlie, the horse in that other video, has her tail shaved. I shave her tail for the show ring, whereas Stormy, who doesn't compete anymore, but I used to braid his tail. So I will show you in the video, excuse me, how to braid a tail, as well as like clipping up his jawline and stuff like that, which again, Charlie had all of that done already, so I didn't need to do that for the last show, hence why I wasn't in the video. So I thought I'd show you how to do that, and Stormy is going to be... I don't clip whiskers. In most disciplines now that's illegal anyway, but even back when he was showing, it was legal, you're allowed to do it. I never did clip whiskers. And I've always kept his eyelashes, all of that, etc. But I do trim the jawline, so he's not too bad, even though he is not competing. He is always clipped and presented to perfection. So he's actually not too bad, but you just want to clip all this fluff, like basically their beard. You're wanting to clip all under here so that it gives an impression of a nice clean head with nice outline, similar to how I said about the ears, how you want the outline. He's got very fluffy ears, please ignore them, but if you want to see like a nice clean outline of the ear, it's the same with the face. So you're wanting to make the jawline look nice and clean and not have any fluffy little bits. So and then the other thing, you can also clip a bridle path up here, but that's another thing. So to clip, and obviously not all horses are okay with clippers. He's very seasoned, but I always just go upwards with the clippers like so. Can get a little bit difficult right around their jaw there, just trying to and he thinks obviously, like I said, he doesn't have very much, so if you've got more fluff, it's going to take a little bit longer. Sometimes they can get long hairs coming around here too, so you just want to clip all of those off as well. So now you've got, yeah, a nice defined jawline like so, which just gives a better impression of the head overall if they put their ears forward and not have their ears back and look old and grumpy, but he is old and grumpy. So yeah, anyway, so yeah, that is clipping. Two options for the show ring, either clipping the dock, which is what I've done with Charlie. So you're basically wanting to clip the sides down to about here to make the dock look nice and skinny, which then gives the bum of your horse basically a better shape and draws more attention to that by making the dock nice and skinny. So you've got that option, but obviously that takes a long time to grow out. Once you've done it, you can't go back. So for him, I always used to braid his tail. So I'm going to show you how I braid a tail. It's just a French braid. So if you can braid human hair and you know how to do a French braid, it's the same thing on a horse. It's just got to be a lot smaller and a lot tighter than you might do it on your own hair. So you want to start, you don't have to have super thick or super long hair, because as you go down, you add in the hair. So if it's not thick and super long at the top, don't worry, you can still do it. But you're wanting to get a lot of hair in the middle here, but there is a tiny little bit I'll be able to grab. So starting, it's the hardest part. And I don't put any product in the tails when I am braiding them. They can get too slippery. And if you've washed your horse before the show, you don't want to wash the top of their tail on the day that you're going to be plaiting it, because it can be too slippery to hold. Stormy. So then you just go down and you're adding in more hair each time you go to put the outside parts of the plait. So you've got your 3 parts of the plait, and each time you go to put the outside part over, you're adding a bit of hair in each time, and then you want to push it towards the tail of the dock. Stormy! Oi! You're wanting to push the plait towards their dock each time you add a bit of hair in. and that just helps to make sure that it stays nice and tight. And then you can pull the strand. So like now I'm going to pull the strand. Properly, I would take this braid down further, but for time's sake I've finished it here. Normally you want to take it down to the bottom of the dock, which for him is here, but some horses have got a really long dock and it looks really weird if you take it the whole way down, but you'll work out what works for you and your horse. So to tuck it up, you've got two ways of finishing it. So I always just put a band around the end of it because you're not going to see this. And then you take the end that's got the band and you push it up through the base of your plait like that. So I can actually fit my finger up the back there without pulling the braid out. So then you're left with this little loop like that, which you can then, depending on the colour of your horse, with black horses and a black tail, you can usually just get away with putting a plaiting band around it and you won't see it. On a horse more like my other two that are chestnuts, you do see the band in their hair. So I would sew it in, and I sew it in just by sewing it in half, just like this, just a couple of threads in the top here to sew it in half, and then you've got this loop, and a grey as well. You can get away with a band usually. So yeah, then you're left with your tail. He has got a false tail in, but you're left then with your tail. So all these little bits on the side here, I would clip these off now if I was doing this properly, to make it so it's just the braid that you can see. But he's not had his tail braided for probably almost 3 years now at this point. And he doesn't need to have it all clipped up and tidy because he doesn't go anywhere anymore. So I'll leave it like that for now. But yeah, just know all these little flyaways, you want to be clipping them, or even little scissors, you can cut them off. And then I wrap this with vet wrap to keep it in overnight. I wrap the tail, just make sure obviously you don't wrap it too tight, and then a tail bag on top will keep your tail in overnight. If not, you can do this the morning of the show. It's totally up to you. In the last video I mentioned how Charlie's coat wasn't the ideal length for quarter marks, and you couldn't really see the shark's teeth. So I thought, being as I've got him out, I will actually show you guys how I do shark's teeth, because he's not blown a coat. He's very good and he doesn't blow coats, which I greatly appreciate. So I've just put some checkers on him like I did with Charlie. So I'll do the shark's teeth, and then I'll also show you how I round off the quarter marks, because we didn't get that on camera the other day. So I'll show you how I do that too. So with the shark's teeth, I'm just going to do it with his body brush because he's not washed, so I don't want to get my good brushes dirty. But you can do it with a body brush. There's places that sell shark's teeth brushes that are like firm, bristle, little rectangle brushes. I actually use a dandy brush normally. So yeah, it's totally up to you. So you're wanting to start from basically right underneath your last row of quarter marks. Are you itchy? No? And you go upwards like that. So now you'll see that there's like a line going that way. And then from your top corner here, you're then wanting to go down. So that's created your first triangle here, down like that. And then you're wanting to then go to the top point of this line here. So then you go up, and then again from where you started, the corner bit there, and then down. So the last thing you want to do is round off your quarter marks, which makes it all look finished and brings it all together. And it also helps to make the shape of your horse's bum look nice and round. So the whole point of quarter marks is to accentuate your horse's bum, or if you've got things that you want to hide, like conformation issues and things that you want to hide, you can use the quarter marks to draw the eye away from those issues. So you want to round off. So basically you're rounding off from the top of the dock, and you're just wanting to round this part off. So there's no quarter marks here. You've just got to be careful you don't start your round off too high up here and cut off your last row of squares. And you basically just come round like that, and then and then make sure you start, so we've started here, so start in the same spot on the other side and come round like that. So that's now rounded off, and then I always get my brush and go through the middle here to make a nice even line on both sides of your quarter marks like that. So now he's got a nice rounded nice line down the middle, and the only other thing you want to do for presenting for the show ring is with their chestnuts. He's got really gross chestnuts, so we won't show you those, but so if I was showing him, I would peel those chestnuts. Again, my other two actually don't have large chestnuts like him, so I don't even have to peel them, and you just get a little bit of makeup that matches the colour of their legs, and you're just wanting to hide the chestnuts, so you're not wanting to make them stand out, you're just wanting to hide them. So Charlie has a matte chestnut makeup that goes on her chestnuts. He used to do his with black, and it just makes the leg all look even, and you don't have those chestnuts standing out on their leg. He's all ready to go out to the paddock now, but just one little thing I also wanted to mention before I forget is when I clipped around his jawline, I always clip around the top of their hooves, and we always take the feathers off, so that gives you a nice clean line around the hooves, so that then when you paint their hooves on the day of the show for the ring, Stormy, when you paint their hooves, it's a nice clean line, and you don't have bits of hair getting in their hoof paint and sort of carrying the leg down to the hooves. You want a nice clean line from the end of the foot and starting the hoof.